Okay, well, that's a little bit of an odd angle shooting through the steering wheel that way, but it gives me a good place to put the camera where it'll be steady. I didn't bring any equipment with me because I wasn't really planning on doing a video today, but we found ourselves in Nanton, and I figured, you know what, this would be kind of a great follow-up to the Nanton water tap video that we did. So today we're just going to do a quick tour of some of the historic buildings in the commercial area of Nanton. It's not in-depth by any means. It barely scratches the surface of what this town has to offer, but I think you'll find it interesting. Roll the opening, Mabel. We're going to start the tour here along what is today 20th Street in Nanton. The day after our visit, the Southern Alberta Pioneers tweeted out this image. Now, the tweet says 1922, the description under the image says 1924, but what's really important is that it shows the aftermath of a fire that destroyed 8 buildings along Shaw Street. Shaw Street then is 20th Street today, and that's why I chose to start the tour here. You can actually see 3 of the buildings that are featured in this photo still standing today. The first one is located right in the center of the photo, and if we bring up an image here from today, you will see that it is marked as the Nanton Drug Company and stands almost completely unchanged. The second building is just to the right of the Nanton Grocery and is partially obscured by this power pole, but it is the Featherston Grocery. And if we look at it today, you will see that not much has changed with it either. In fact, the Featherston Grocery is still a bit of a ghost sign hidden behind the awning. And finally, our third building stands a couple doors to the left of the Nanton Drug Company in this photo. Now, because at the time I shot this footage, I had no idea the Southern Alberta Pioneers were going to tweet out a historical image of this very location. I didn't get a good shot of that third building, but if you look right here and look at the pattern of the windows and the pillars in the front, you can clearly see it is the same building from that image from 1924. Let's move down the block and follow along with the theme from the Southern Alberta Pioneers and look at some old photographs of Nanton. Of course, down the block is the Auditorium Hotel, first built in 1902. But let's look at this image taken July the 1st, 1905. Now, at first glance, you might think the Auditorium Hotel isn't even the same building, but it has just undergone a number of additions and renovations and fires over the years. So it may not look exactly the same today as it did here in 1905, but it is the same hotel and the same building. And a little side note, because Alberta would not officially become a province until September of 1905, this picture was taken when Nanton was still part of the Northwest Territories. I'll include a couple more images here just to show the evolution. Here it is shortly after its construction. In this one you can see now it has been renovated to look more like it does in present day with the balcony out front and the brick facade. And then the third image here shows again just another image of it from the 19-teens. Now, as amazing as it is from the front, I think to really appreciate the Auditorium Hotel as a building, you need to get behind it and into the back alley here. I mean, look at this classic fire escape with the counterweights and things. That is just pure, early 20th century architecture right there. And even more interesting, check this out with these old wooden doors. Apparently, my understanding is that this is actually the original ice house for the hotel and where they would store the blocks of ice in the pre-refrigeration days. And while Mabel checks out some interesting smells on the corner, I'm more interested in checking out this children's artwork and this spot where there used to be a window. I like to call these ghost windows. And it wouldn't be a danocan.com video if I didn't include some gratuitous footage of the grain elevators. They're important historical structures in their own right, the heart of the community back in the day. Next up is the W.S. Keeley building, originally home of the Keeley General Store, today Sentimental Journey Antiques. Recently, I had a message from Dan Keeley, who was born in Nanton in 1936, and it was his father that actually started and ran the Keeley General Store. Cool little connection there. The next building I want to take a look at is currently the home of Lost Ark Antiques, and you can see here it's marked with the McLaren Brothers and Hamel sign. In this image from 1912, we can see it's marked as Sibbett and Hallett's Dry Goods Store. This image actually provides a better view of Sibbett and Hallett's Dry Goods Store. Sitting right next to it there to the left is another building we're going to take a look at shortly, the Shaw and Cooper building. And then to the left of that, just across the street, is, of course, the Auditorium Hotel, which we've talked about previously. So let's take a closer look at the Shaw and Cooper building. Now, without a doubt, I would say this is probably historically one of the most important buildings in the entire town of Nanton. Built in 1909, H.M. Shaw was the founder of the town and a member of parliament for the MacLeod riding, and J.T. Cooper was actually the first mayor of Nanton. And I think you can gather the historical importance of Shaw, given that Main Street, 20th Street, used to be Shaw Street. Now, this image of the Shaw and Cooper building is dated circa 1910, so about a year after it was opened. Now, I want to show you something really cool. Pay close attention to this building just to the left of the Shaw and Cooper building in the photograph. And now let's look at this image of the back of the Shaw and Cooper building that I took on a previous visit in 2018. The outline of that building from the 1910 photograph is still imprinted on the side of the Shaw and Cooper building to this day. And I'm pretty confident in saying it's the same building, because if you look at where it comes to here, just below this edifice on Shaw and Cooper, now let's go look at the original photo. You can see they come to that same point on the building. And one last stop on our Nanton tour. Now, you'll remember this building, the blue and white one, from the Nanton Tap video, was the home of Howard Armstrong's General Store. Now, let's take a look at this photograph that is dated 1906-1907. One of the first things you'll notice is back at this point in time, these are two distinct buildings. There is Ingram's Meat Market on the left and S.T. Armstrong Taylor on the right. In addition, there's a sign here for Dr. Keene. So there's at least 3 businesses operating out of these two buildings. Obviously, at some point, they were combined to make it the single building we've seen today. There are a couple of people I'm going to point out. This is Dr. W.H. Keene, and this man here is S.T. Armstrong. Now, I think you could probably write an entire book on the Armstrongs and the history of Nanton, but it's just great. I'm assuming that S.T. Armstrong is the father of Howard Armstrong, and that this Taylor business eventually evolved into the dry goods general store that we see later on in the Nanton Tap era. Nanton is absolutely one of our favorite towns in Alberta. Every time we visit, there is another layer of history to uncover, another story to be told, and we love it. Here's an overview just to kind of give you an idea of where we've been on this tour. Now, we didn't talk about the Hotel Nanton because it no longer exists. I believe it was destroyed by fire in 1960, but don't quote me on that. Here we have Ingram's Meat Market, we have the Armstrong Store, the Auditorium Hotel, the Shaw and Cooper Block, Sibbett and Hallett Dry Goods, the Keeley General Store, and just peeking over top of the Hotel Nanton here is the Nanton Drug Company, where we started this journey. Thank you so much for watching the video and coming along with us on this journey. If you like what we're trying to do here, I'd really appreciate it if you would give us a subscription. Seeing that subscriber count grow really motivates us and keeps us going. And thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.